essentially what's going on is when we talk about the body, the same with this level of sensation, is that there's something that happened at some point in our history, let's say with just an individual first, that we just couldn't make sense of in our identity level. We couldn't include in our sense of I. And so basically the common theory goes that we stored it somewhere, that whatever that pain, whatever that, or goodness, it could be something that was way too good for us to allow into our being, into our I, into who I consider myself to be. So basically we put that away. We buried it like a squirrel in a nut in a spot to be uncovered later when we have more capacity. And that's basically what we talk about, what we're talking about when we mean trauma, is that we've taken something that we were unable to deal with, and now we've put it for safekeeping for later use. And then it comes forward when somehow that intelligence, the body's wisdom that probably comes from billions of years of evolution, has determined that there's now enough capacity to deal with this. So from this point of view, and I don't think this is always the case, right? But I do think the meaning making changes it to be the case. That from this point of view, anytime you start to feel one of these traumatic energies coming back, it's basically your body saying you have the chance to integrate more into your being than you previously could. And so there's this amazing gift that you're being offered if you're able to see it that way. And obviously, if you're not able to see it that way, there's a different problem. But we can actually practice to see it this way. And then it's really cool because the other thing that we know about this, and this is basically what's meant by re-traumatization, is that if you don't deal with it, if you don't include it in your I, you're going to get another chance. You're never going to lose the opportunity to integrate that energy. Until you face it, it will continuously give you the opportunity. So if you're not up for it in that moment, you have the right to just say to yourself, to that energy, like, I can't do it right now. I don't have the time and space. I don't have the energy. I'm not available. And we're free to disassociate, and we're free to move on, and we're free to focus on other things and watch Netflix and eat cookies and whatever else we do to avoid feeling the painful things we haven't let in. And what we start to do with more and more with circling, with good meditation, with this basic principle of staying at the level of sensation, is we start to learn to ride the kind of the window of tolerance, or ride the wave, where instead of having it crash over us and we're like totally broken open into some pain, or like getting out of the ocean and saying, fuck it, I'm just going to be numb and do whatever, which is like Netflix and cookies. We learn to ride the wave. And so we stay right there at the edge. We're like, okay, I notice that I want to shut down. This feels like it's too much to some part of me, but I actually don't think it is. I'm going to stay right there. And then you'll start to notice it gets to be too much. And you're like, okay, cool, I need to back it off. Like, how do I back it off? I notice what's happening in the here and now. I notice my breath. I notice the green plants out the window. I notice the smile on your face. I think about things I'm grateful for. I think about positive resources in my life. Okay, now I have a little bit more tolerance, so I can go back. You know, that's what we start to learn to ride right there on the edge. And we begin to be able to include more and more into our being, into our bodies. And the beauty that you guys have all seen this and experienced this is that, of course, what you're unwilling and unable to allow into your being, you can't be for others or with others either. And so the more you allow in this kind of, whatever it is that you've gone through, maybe it's a deep sense of not belonging in the world at all. That'd be you could call it a deep, very deep trauma. But when you're able to feel the energy and the intensity and the physicality of that, and you just slowly ride it until you felt it and you're allowing it and you're able to, now you can suddenly spot that and be with that with others. And you don't have to push it away. You don't have to reject it. And so your life becomes much more friendly, because every other person in the world that has, which pretty much that particular one, every person in the world has, it's no longer something that you have to resist, that you have to block out. That it's now something that you can be with, that you can befriend, that you can learn from, and you can also appropriately say no to. And so that's one of the ways that circling basically gives us this incredible freedom. And it's a freedom to, not a freedom from, a freedom to be with people, to uh, feel the whole range of human experience, to say no, to say yes, to live. And yeah, Marilla, I think, and I'm always afraid I mispronounce your name, so forgive me. But
You're doing beautifully.
thank you. Um, I think there is something to this kind of, there's a shared resonance that our different collectives have gone through. And I don't know how that all works, but it does seem like, for example, that in the US, we're working something out about racism and slavery that, Australia's not working out. But certainly there's other places are working out other kind of energetic um, whirlpools. I don't really know what to call them. There's other gifts that are being offered other collectives, you could say, that that for whatever reason, that energy in our collective body thinks that we now have the capacity to integrate and be with and allow. And I think that's very, very exciting. Very exciting. And I do think we learn more and more with circling how to incorporate that, because just like our first attempts at surfing are just laughable. Our first attempts at our own surfing of our kind of intensities are destined to be a little ill-informed. Our first attempts at doing this at collectives are ill-informed too, and so a lot of our, I think we mistakenly try to force other people to now be in it and think the way we do and feel it the way we feel it. And I just don't think that's actually how collectives work. There's this incredible complexity about honoring the communion or the universality while honoring the autonomy and the uniqueness of every individual in the collective. And so far, I've seen us do that very well in circling sometimes, and I've seen us do it pretty poorly as a national and international conversation. But I think we're getting there, and I hope we do get there, because I think there's an incredible amount of again, freedom and connection that gets unleashed with that, or revealed, you could say. Okay. Any more